This review of Death Trash is spoiler free. Very rarely do I follow a game's development anymore. Nowadays I may see a trailer, possibly two, and get excited for a few days that said game is in the making. And then more often than not I forget the game is coming out until, if I'm lucky, release day, but sometimes not even then. I am oblivious to a lot of new games, as you may be able to guess from the content I upload. I'm very much stuck in the past, but every once in a while a game will cross my path, whether it be through a trailer or even just some screenshots, that truly does captivate my attention and makes me want to follow the game's journey from development to release. And Death Trash is one such game. I remember stumbling across a trailer for Death Trash back in late 2019, and what I immediately found so compelling was that the game looked like a modern take on Fallout 1 and 2 with a gritty pixel art style and unique take on a post-apocalyptic world. Now, despite not covering the series yet, the Fallout series is one of my all-time favorites, and so if your game reminds me of Fallout, you've definitely caught my attention. What drew me to Death Trash though was it looked to offer such a unique world and atmosphere, like a Lovecraftian cyberpunk post-apocalypse, that had captivated my attention so much that I kept up to date with all the development progress and posts from both Death Trash and Stefan Hovelbrink's Twitter accounts. Each development clip or screenshot got me more and more excited to get my hands on this game, and so once it was announced that Death Trash was releasing into early access in August, I marked that date in the calendar because I was not missing out on playing this game as soon as possible. And now, well, here we are. I've been playing Death Trash for the past week or so, and for the amount of hype I had going into the game, I was not disappointed. I think Death Trash is something truly special, and the fact it's still not finished to me means the sky is the limit for how great the finished product can be. Pretty lofty statement though, so let's dive into why I think that is. I do want to mention that I did receive a review code for this game, so big thank you to the developers, and as always, yes, free things are nice, and I'm so grateful that I'm even in this sort of position, but I would never recommend a game to you that I didn't think deserved your attention or your hard-earned money. Death Trash is set in a post-apocalyptic world as humans have traveled the stars and settled on the planet Nexus. Humanity is struggling to survive, the land is governed by sentient machines initially installed as protectors, but now are corrupted, and various cults either rule the wasteland or worship what are known as the Flesh Titans. As the player, you begin the game being kicked out of our habitat due to an unknown disease or infection, and you're sent on your merry way. You're not told where to go, what direction to venture off to, or how to act. You're just sent out into the wasteland, and the rest is up to you. Obviously, there is a lot more to the story. I mean, this is an RPG after all, but in terms of a spoiler-free context, that's really all you need to know. The story so far in Death Trash is a great time. It is in early access, so there are quests where you'll reach a work-in-progress prompt, but without giving too much away, they really have created an instantly intriguing world here in Death Trash. The initial lack of direction may bother some people, but I love that feeling of, well, what do I do? I guess I'll walk over here and see where it takes me? There's a real sense of discovery about this story, which is great because there are so many questions instantaneously. What's with all the meat everywhere? What is this world and what happened here? What the hell are these so-called Flesh Titans? Right off the bat, it's just such a unique world that, at least personally, I was questioning and talking to anyone I could, which had me venturing off on different quests, finding new locations through said quests, finding more people and entities, to then keep repeating that cycle. I was hooked in from the jump, and throughout my time with the story at this moment, that never wavered. Probably the most important question Death Trash presents the player though is, what do I want to do in this world? That question in particular is such an important question to have the player asking in an RPG because it allows you to assume a character, which is sort of the point in this genre. Do I want to be an asshole, a ruthless killer who takes what they want and leaves the land in ruin? Do I want to be empathetic, be as passive as possible, only resort to combat when necessary, and help those in need? Somewhere in between, perhaps. Death Trash allows you to experience this story and this world your way. The game is also extremely well written, and despite the depressing and oppressive atmosphere, there's quite a lot of humor present in the dialogue, which for some may break that atmosphere, but I think it comes across very human and genuinely got a good laugh out of me a few times. Yes, the use of profuse vomiting is strange, but so is this world, and the characters within it are just that, absolute characters that you want to talk to and figure out what is going on here. I'm excited to see where this story goes and ends up because they have something special in regards to the world alone, and what's in the game as of right now is a great time to experience. The gameplay was that iffy aspect for me personally looking in on Death Trash through its development. Yes, I enjoy Fallout 1 and 2, but it's not because I'm overly fond of the gameplay. I much prefer the first person approach, so Death Trash's gameplay from the outside looked as if it wouldn't be my favorite thing. Thankfully for me, Death Trash is very much a modern take on that original Fallout style of gameplay, and combat in particular is much better for it. There's no movement limits or turns, and there's no dice roll combat. In Death Trash, you can move about each location freely, you have a dodge roll attached to a stamina meter of sorts, and your melee and guns are mostly accurate. The revolver was a no-go for me, too inaccurate. Tied into customizable implants and abilities like stealth or stunning enemies, and all of this controls great. The combat here is a lot of fun. It's tense, there is a good amount of enemy variety, locations can be filled with hazards, the weapons feel great to use, and enemies aren't to be messed with even on normal early on, especially not in a group larger than 2. There's a great feeling of strategy about this combat system, when to engage and when to back away, when you can use the environment or other enemies to your advantage, when to shoot and when to melee, and you do need to think about all of this because it doesn't take much to whittle that health bar down to zip, which if you haven't saved during a location, you start from the start, which granted isn't usually too far back, but still an inconvenience that with planning can be avoided. Being as player choice driven as Death Trash is though, you don't even have to engage in combat. There are stealth options or simply running to the exit. You can build whatever character or playstyle you desire, be that melee or gun focused, dialogue, stealth, tech, jack of all trades. Whatever it may be, you have the choice to pursue whatever direction you'd like. Personally, I was somewhat a jack of all trades as this was my first playthrough, so I wanted to experience a bit of everything, but having so much choice makes replaying the game immediately so much more enticing. The quest objectives are also vast, variable, and honestly, unique. Yes, there is the typical go here, get this, come back type of questing, but they feel very few and far between or vary in how you approach that given objective. I don't want to give anything away because there are some great quests to experience already that, whilst not always challenging, are so memorable. You have this vast world that you can freely explore in Nexus as well that makes you want to go out questing or see what could be close by and scouring these locations to find upgrades, crafting materials, weapons, ammo, health, sellable items, quest items, and story tidbits. The world just feels like it needs to be explored if you want to stand a chance being within it, and there's no level blocks or anything that I could tell, so you really can go anywhere you like, but be careful you don't bump into an anomaly or random encounter along your way. Quickly, just to touch on the visuals, I love the pixel art on display here. It feels familiar, reminding me a lot of Carrion in particular. You don't get a lot of detail, but this art style brings with it a distinct character. The color palette stays the same throughout, so some people may take issue with the browns and greys, but 1, the red does cut through that blandness quite a bit, and 2, that's sort of the dystopian post-apocalyptic vibe I'm used to by now, so not an issue for me personally. Overall, Death Trash, despite my own hype towards the game, has blown me away. It may currently be in early access, and right now there is approximately a quarter of the final game's content to experience, but right now this game is an absolute blast and a pure joy to play. The story is compelling, the dialogue is well written and dripping in humour, the world is captivating, the combat is smooth, various and satisfying, exploration is invigorating, the visuals are filled with character, the questing isn't just your run-of-the-mill go here get that, and has plenty of memorable moments, and the amount of player choice is really to be commended. Death Trash is filled with potential, and I'm excited to see where this all ends up by the time it leaves early access, because I seriously believe the sky's the limit with how incredible this game could end up being. Whether you check it out now or wait till the full release, I just want more people to know that Death Trash exists, because I think this is definitely a lot of people's cup of tea, and I love the direction the game is heading. Granted, the finished product could fall on its face, but I don't see that happening. The potential is there, and I hope by the end, it's fully realized. Thank you all so much. I had such a great time playing Death Trash, and I hope you enjoyed checking the game out with me. Once again, thank you to the developers for the review copy, and thank you to you, the viewer, for putting me in this position in the first place. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a like because it helps let me know that you enjoyed yourself. Comment below your thoughts on Death Trash if you've played it, or let me know if you end up checking it out, as well as any suggestions for games you want to see covered in the future. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, go give my socials a follow if you fancy @MayorHairBear, and I'll catch you all in the next video.